cider and a switch thing. Ride the dawn on his motorbike. Looking for legends on the Sunset Strip with a stone cold paranormal partnership. That's for town Rick trying to sell me some crack. Listen to the podcast, man, and take that shit back. It's Urban Legends, the podcast about urban legends. And here your host, Neil and Chris. You'll receive our part in your ears tonight. Making love to your 3-bar fire tonight.
Thank you, Kyoto. We are Urban Legends, the hair metal band from the 80s and the internet's largest Urban Legends podcast by volume. I am lead singer Chris Flynn, and with me on his banjo, it is Mr.
Blink, blink, plunk, plunk, blink, 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 plunk, plunk, plunk.
Neil the Power Herbert.
Hello, everybody. Hello.
Hi, Neil. How are you enjoying Kyoto?
Beautiful city.
Beautiful city.
Lovely people.
Wonderful people.
Great energy. Great energy.
It's got great energy. You know, when we came, we weren't sure how they'd take to the music, but they've actually they've really got on board with it. And you know, the fans out here, they're wild.
When I come to a new city, Chris, I ask one question: can they rock?
Can they?
You can rock.
Oh,
they can rock.
Oh, they can rock.
Oh.
They might rock the hardest.
They
A lot
may.
of people say Tokyo rocked the hardest.
What do you say, Kyoto?
Yeah, what do you say, Kyoto? Does Kyoto rock the hardest?
Sounds like they do.
Sounds like they do.
It's pretty hard rocking.
Yeah, so hi, welcome to the podcast.
Yes.
Neil, how are you? How you been? You were saying last week you were
last week.
reading some books.
Reading some books, was I? Yeah. Yes, I have been. Thank you for revisiting that extremely.
Do you want to revisit
interesting
that? You mean you can ask me questions? I know it's,
I could just read out. Okay, so I'll tell you what I've done.
Oh, here we go.
I'll tell you what I've done. I was away on holiday, as you know, a few weeks back.
Yep, smuggling diamonds in your urethra.
Yep. And let's keep going on about that, Chris. You know, we've been through that. But you know, as I'm sort of passing them out like a really awful kind of like
Pez dispenser.
Stone. Yeah, Pez dispenser, whatever. You know, that bloody urine. As you're sort of waiting for them to pass, it's quite a long and
of course the top
painful procedure.
The top of your penis does look like Goofy from Disney, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. Carry on.
I had it surgically enhanced to allow it to happen.
Enhanced.
Oh, it was a natural resemblance already, but I've enhanced it.
You just had the eyes slightly changed.
Yeah. What nature provided, I'm used to.
You enhanced. Yeah, lovely.
Effect. So I don't know. Are we talking about my old chap or the books I was reading? I don't really mind.
No, it doesn't matter. We'll see, won't we?
Let's see where we go.
Doesn't matter.
So what I did was, because I was kind of like I'd run out of books to read, and I just had like some sort of more facty books, and I was
facts books. Like what's it like?
Some fiction.
Yeah, fact books like QI book of 100 facts. Was that one of the ones?
Just stuff like how to do great presentations and boring worky things.
Really?
I've got a few of those on my Kindle.
Not touched that one yet, presumably. Judging by the podcast.
But no, so I downloaded some. Well, actually, I did a few of those. That Greek the guy who was Chancellor when Greece went through the ringer in the EU.
Yanis
Varoufakis, or whatever his name is.
Who's also the lead singer of the Foals.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, Yanis. I've downloaded some of his books, so I'll be picking those at some point. But no, what I did was I decided to Google what's
a bit commie.
I've always fancied reading that one, just because it'd be, as much as anything else, whether I agree or disagree with the assessment of the situation, and they disagree, But it'd be interesting to get that insider perspective, I think. So,
Or what it's like dealing with the troika.
Yeah, or just being in that situation and how world finance really works and all the rest of it.
Tell you what, Neil. It it won't make you. It might shift your views on Brexit a little.
Fair enough. I mean, yeah, because let's not forget this. It's kind of not a great story for the EU and all the rest of it. But yeah, I mean, but yeah. So I'll tell you what. I'll let you know when I've read it.
All right. But that was it, was it?
No, and so what I did, it was just that was some of the factual books I've got. But
you're just whetting their appetite to come
the
back.
listeners' appetite, yeah.
But when you've read left-wing economists,
you'll notice I sow a lot of these kind of seeds, Chris. We've got a lot of mighty oaks growing out in this podcast. We can return back to at some point.
Really, at the moment, it feels like we're in the middle of a savannah.
Yeah, well, it takes time for these things to grow. I
mean, oaks take a long time to grow, don't they?
Anyway, if it wasn't constantly being fucking interrupted, so I could explain. Yeah, the methodology was so that's sort of factual books, but wanted to be a bit more fun. A bit
more fun.
So sort of Googled. Well, there was some
fun books,
or sort of something more fiction. You know what I mean? Something a bit different. So it was basically there's some chart out there you can Google. Basically, the most read or the most rated books all around the world. So I downloaded the one for Ireland.
Okay. Is it about the guy who
series?
Is it about the guy who goes round Ireland with a fridge?
Do you know what? You're never going to get. I'll give you 3 guesses because you ain't going to get this. So it's not Tony Hawk goes round Ireland with a fridge. It's not McCarthy's Bar. It's not Ulysses.
That's really fun, though.
It's great fun, yeah. Bit of James Joyce.
Yeah. Masturbating in the street.
But fun, yeah. The whole last third of just like a monologue by a lady. And him talking about eating kippers and how they're a bit urine-y tasty.
Yeah. I don't know.
I've read Ulysses. I'm not sure how much I understood, if I'm being honest.
Fair enough.
I'll go back to it one day with
the Dubliners is very easy.
Yeah, I've not read that or Finnegan's Wake.
So Dubliners
go back and read some more James Joyce.
Pretty simple.
I quite like the style.
It's about the band, the Dubliners.
Oh, okay.
Well, because he used to be their tour manager.
Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just about the scrapes they got into.
Before he got into the Fall, yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
James Joyce and Marquis Smith, all the stuff they got up to on the road. Really a fly on the wall in those gigs.
You wouldn't have been able to. He would have snorted you.
Yeah.
I don't know. What's the most fun books from Ireland? Is it about the Great Hunger?
About the Troubles, yeah.
Yeah.
growing up in
the back Cromwell,
in the 20s, when Mum was just beating the shit out of you. No, it's called Skullduggery Pleasance. It's a series all about a skellington.
A skellington boy. A skellington detective.
It's kind of like the Irish Harry Potter, I take it. So it was free on Kindle Unlimited, which apparently I've got, and I didn't realise. So I'm still paying for that. So the first of this series was on. So I've downloaded that, and I'm about 42% of the way through.
So is that how you judge books? By percentage?
By percentage, yeah.
Right. How much have you understood? 17%? 18%?
I mean, it's not that difficult to understand this. It's a skellington private detective, and he's like...
Is it for young adults?
Yeah, it's a young adult fiction.
All right.
Apparently there's 9 of these. I think it was the 8th one or something. It was the highest rated in Ireland, but I thought I'd start at the start mainly because it was free.
I don't know
how... I'm working my way through.
I don't know how a skellington character would work for me personally without the sound effect of someone doing on a xylophone. I
mean, they might have that if they ever get the film or animated sort of rights. Maybe Studio Ghibli will do a version. Who knows?
So, Studio Giblets.
Studio Giblets. Yeah, there you go. That's what
the South End version.
They get the Irish version. Yeah.
So what's this character like then, Mr. Skellington, PI?
Quirky.
Huh?
Quirky.
He's quirky, is he?
He drives a Bentley, and he's basically hooked up. So there's this little girl, and her uncle's died, and then she realises she's been murdered when a skellington detective comes into her house.
Okay.
And someone tries to kidnap her.
This sounds
about as far as we've got thus far. Is they're kind of we're slowly exploring the kind of world, and there's like just loads of like magical stuff going on behind the scenes. They've gone in somewhere in a museum in Dublin, the Waxworks, and there's a load of people who live under that, some magical people.
Okay.
So, like I say, it's kind of it's got a real, it's like Irish Harry Potter vibe, but without all the public school nonsense.
Oh, that's good.
But it's all like, you know.
I mean, what's nice for me is it feels like you're finally nourishing your inner child.
Well, I'm trying something different. Do you know what I mean? So
because you've starved your inner child, haven't you? With your cynicism,
books to try and pretend to be intelligent, but just figure let's just cut to the chase. And
do you think that doing this podcast and it being on public record that you're not intelligent has allowed you to feed your inner child?
I thoroughly dispute anyone who wants now has mountains of evidence that I'm a complete fucking idiot. So
they won't just get like an intelligent quip over the cubicle wall in the office anymore. They can actually deep dive your personality.
Yeah, they can actually look and examine. I mean, you've got enough material now. You could run AI and just realise how frighteningly unintelligent I am.
Yeah, it's okay. Well, that sounds like a lot of fun. I'm still not reading at the moment.
Are you not?
No, I can't get into it.
Fair enough. No, I don't know why. I'm always a compulsive reader.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, I have started watching.
Here we
Bloodlines. The thing you recommended to me. The
Netflix.
Bloodhounds. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, there is another one called Bloodlines. I'm just on the first episode. Yeah, looking good thus far.
Yeah, it's all right. Like I said, all of it's taken massive inspiration, I guess, from
Old Boy. It's Korean, isn't it, I believe?
Yeah, it's South Korean. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like all the fighting's like Old Boy fighting, and that's basically all the series is about. So if you liked the fight scenes in Old Boy, then it's a good one to watch.
Yeah, I mean, hey, why not? If you're going to take something, it's been a challenge to sort of. It's been a while since I've explored the old kind of Korean cinema, so it might be another one to have a look at. But with streaming services, you just kind of like, I don't know, it's that classic thing, isn't it? There's so much you can choose from. You end up just like not exploring as much at all because I don't think they curate these things very well.
No, I'll be honest. Like, I think the golden age of TV is over. Like, there's vanishingly little really good stuff coming out. So I'm kind of scrabbling around to watch stuff at the moment. But
it's not the same level as you had your Deadwoods and what have you. Although I'm quite excited by what's just come out. I don't know if it's available in the UK at the moment.
UK
Justified. I mean, it's not
the new Justified.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. It's not top tier TV, but I enjoy it.
Jurassic Park, it's called, I think.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it's just Raylan Givens back apparently, but I'm
in Detroit.
For a bit of that. I was in Detroit. Okay,
yeah, set in Detroit.
That'd be interesting, actually.
Yeah, no, it'd be good. Yeah, Timothy Oliphant's very watchable.
Yes,
and the original Justified's really good. So yeah, looking forward to it. So. Neil, this week.
What do you got for us, Chris? It's one of yours this week, isn't it?
I have, yeah. This week we're going to be looking at the legend of La Mala Hora, which is a Mexican, sort of New Mexico legend. So I've got a few different sources I'm going to go through. It crosses
two countries.
Yeah, but it used to be
Mexico as well
as one country.
Oh, no, I'm well aware of that. Wales was Texas, but hey, forgive and forget, Chris.
Yeah, doesn't matter, does it?
Don't let him in, whatever you do, but it's not stolen.
just put like a big wall down, dividing families and that.
Well, if you don't, they'll just come in and do all the work.
Do all the work, fix everything,
make everything happen.
Mend it all. So it's an interesting one. This we'll see where it goes. But kind of La Mala Hora is like the devil's hour, which is like something which we kind of have all round the world, like the witching hour.
Midnight or
3 a.m, apparently.
3 a.m. is witching hour. Yeah, I'm never quite sure actually what they're. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, 3 a.m.
Usually when I need to get up for a pee, so yeah.
It's just after
that'll tracks.
Just after you get back from clubbing.
The devil's got hold of my urethra,
bladder,
and my bladder, and wants to.
Not your shattered urethra.
Yeah, that's true. Probably he's had a say in both, I would imagine. But.
Sure. Well, greed.
A thorough.
Your
exploitation of both channels. Whatever ends.
Exploration and exploitation.
Yeah.
And excavation.
Yeah.
So it's that, but it's also there's an actual character attached to it in this Mexican folklore as well. So
okay.
I'm going to be reading.
So it's not just a time on the clock.
No, it's not just a time on the clock. Although we all know like the witching hour, like that seems to be a global thing, and it kind of seems to be because there's like I think it must have come through because like humans naturally, like before we had industrial revolution and stuff, would sleep in 2 shifts. So you'd sleep when the sun goes down, have 4 hours sleep, whatever. Then you'd naturally wake up at about 3 a.m.
Yeah, and then go to sleep again.
Then like sit and have a fag or like go and chat with some people, cheeky brew, have some sex, whatever, and then
praying.
Yeah, praying, and then play a bit of computer games and that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Just get a bit of the old Total War of Bosch on the PC, or if you're a console gamer, maybe, a bit of Call of Duty or something.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
You probably wouldn't have done Farming Simulator because you're probably bored of that because it's like a day job, isn't it, in a feudal society. So
probably go, check out your meta, see what's going on, see if you've had any meta messages or something. So then you go back to sleep for like another 3-4 hours till dawn, right? That's kind of how humans naturally sleep. And because of the Industrial Revolution, that's not practical. So we're kind of sleeping
in one block to be more efficient for our paymasters.
Exactly, in opposition to our actual nature, though. And so a lot of people do wake up in the night. And so that's probably where the witching hour and stuff all comes from, because that's kind of how our circadian clocks should work. The first bit seems fairly intellectual, so it looks like it's serious.
Try and gloss over that then, Chris.
We'll try and, but with the counterpoint of us.
Throwing stupid comments at it, yeah.
So therefore
I'm sure we can mispronounce it and misunderstand it too.
So pretend to misunderstand it for comedy purposes.
Yeah.
So this is from New Samacher, and it's by, I think it's maybe an Indian website.
Fair enough.
And it's by Rajveer Shekhawat, and from June 2nd, 2023. And it's a brief history of La Mala Hora, Mexico's most famous monstress. Monstress.
Oh, so it's a monstress. So
it's a monstress.
It's a lady monster.
It's a lady monster. So, the history of La Mala Hora dates back to the 16th century, when the concept of the monstress first appeared in Mexico.
Nice.
The monstress was a woman who was said to have cursed and possessed by evil spirits. She was often seen as a danger to society, like NWA, and was often persecuted by the authorities, like NWA.
Indeed.
Over time, the concept of the monstress evolved.
Well, I'll be honest with you, Easy, you probably don't announce your crimes in your rap records. Would be probably a good idea. You want to keep it on the down low, but you do you.
Yeah, I know, but
he died about 30 years ago, so it's probably
I think it's fair enough.
Probably a bit late. But
fair enough time to bring it up.
Yeah.
Finally, someone's willing to speak out.
For any budding Easy out there,
But I mean, all gangster rappers announce crimes that they may or may not have committed on their songs, don't they?
Yeah, in fairness.
You can't get arrested for saying something on a song. Although they were trying to, weren't they? They were trying to.
I would imagine they're probably.
But I mean, you just go
various
creative license.
Yeah, in fairness, yeah. I would like to think that there'd be a Ferrari.
Well, unless you take all songs literally, and so you'll go. So
I think we should. With the end game of getting everyone back to just doing Bible stories, which is what some of these people seemingly want.
The wise man built his house upon the rocks. His house upon the rocks. Oi, the house upon the rocks.
Why would you do songs about selling crack cocaine when you could do one lovely one about Noah's Ark. Can't argue with that, Chris. That's just logic.
Tell you what, some
Divine
of the kids down my
the pastor is like, some of the kids, guys, I like a bit of Ice Cube as well. We all like a bit of fun.
but I prefer it in my iced tea.
Do you know what's really cool? Yeah,
it's really cool.
Building a boat 500 cubits square, running up the apocalypse through it.
I'll tell you what. Do you want to know what's really gangster? Killing your own brother. Killing your own children because a man in the sky told you to.
Yeah.
That's proper G. And here's a little rap I wrote about it.
Oh, yeah.
Boom, 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 boom. Rap.
Rapid. Rap.
The monstrous was a woman who was said to be cursed and possessed by evil spirits. Like NWA.
Yeah, okay.
She was often seen as dangerous to society and persecuted by authorities. Over time, the concept of the monstress evolved and she became a more positive figure in Mexican culture.
Okay.
Rebrand.
Again, we've had to sort of, boulderize this.
Yeah. She was seen as a protector of the poor and oppressed, and her legends grew.
Okay, it's been sort of like a Deville and it's turned into a bit of a Robin Hood figure.
Yeah, that's it.
Nice.
Sometimes criminals make the best good guys.
Oh, yeah.
That's what Leverage has taught me.
As whatever that terrible Vin Diesel movie was called, sometimes to fight the evil, you need to use evil or something.
That was...
It's a sequel to Pitch Black, I think. Riddick.
Oh, I thought it was...
Chronicles of Riddick or something.
I thought it was Band of Brothers.
Oh, yeah, it could have been Band of Brothers.
So, La Mala Hora is one of the most famous monstresses in Mexico and is revered by many. So, the origins of La Mala Hora. The origin story of La Mala Hora is a bit of a mystery, as it is a story that has been passed down through the generations and has been distorted and changed along the way, like so many.
Long-winded way of saying we don't know.
Yeah, no idea. However, there are some things that are consistent throughout the legend. One version of the legend states that Mala Hora was born from a powerful Inca chieftain and a goddess of the underworld. It is said that she had special powers that allowed her to protect the oppressed and the poor and to fight for justice. Another version
states...
states...
said that this was from the 16th century.
Mm-hmm.
Still got Incas knocking about after the...
Nah. Well, you would have their descendants, but no, but not the Inca. No, but if you're making a story up, then it's like us going...
That's the roots of it, right?
Yeah, you go, oh yeah, that green man bloke, yeah, he's from a Celtic chieftain or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Fair point.
Another thing is, like, if you say it's about something that doesn't exist anymore, it's very difficult to go and check the birth records. That's
true.
Saying.
I mean, most people don't really read, even skim the wiki pages, so just say, oh yeah, it's some Incan chiefs and James II got together and did a album.
Yeah, I believe that's
at the same period, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe that's the premise of the new Indiana Jones movie, the
100 Years War, World War One period.
The Cogs of Death, or whatever it's called.
Yeah, nice.
So, another version states that Mala Hora was born in death and came back to life in the form of a monstress.
So that sounds like the tagline for a Vin Diesel movie.
I was born in death and came back as a monstress. It is believed that she was cursed by a powerful sorcerer.
There's a lot of there's a lot of ancillary characters going on.
Yeah,
we should focus.
And was given special powers to protect the oppressed and poor. Regardless of which version of the legend you believe, Mala Hora remains one of the most popular and recognizable figures in Mexican culture today.
Oh, it's an interesting thing, isn't it? Because you have, like, with the whole Day of the Dead, there's a kind of like it's just kind of like a synthesis of Catholic ideology and kind of like obviously
Native,
yeah.
Pre-Columbian.
Exactly, sort of bits and pieces. But I just also think it was quite interesting. I don't know.
Well, I quite like
ignorance, but taking concepts that we've seen as negative but seeing it as kind of more of a balanced concept.
Yeah, so I quite like. I mean, I wish that culturally we had something like the Day of the Dead, because it's a celebration. It's meant to be when your ancestors come back, and like people go and like they'll go have a little shrine, and they'll leave like the person's favourite stuff in life there, like packet of fags, donut.
Yeah, I guess the nearest we've got is
Razzle.
Halloween. Yeah, copy of Razzle, pint of porter. I guess the nearest we've got is Halloween, isn't it? But I think just even like the representations of death, do you know what I mean? It's just it sort of takes the sting out of it a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, because here it's a massive sting.
Yeah, and it's just all considered very negative. But
yeah, I mean, I struggled. Yeah. I mean, I struggled to find the positives of dying, but then I've got no belief in anything afterwards, so it's pretty much a full stop.
No, agreed. But it's kind of like, I guess it's just I guess it's not saying that it's a positive, but just accepting it as a part of life. No, do you know what I mean?
But they're also saying that it isn't the end because because they're saying the ancestors come back. So then if that's built into you as a kid, then you're like, well, I'm not so scared of death because I know that's not the full stop. Whereas secular, it's like, probably it. And then the closest we've got is, but then your atoms will go on to make other trees. And it's like, I don't give a shit about other trees. I want my consciousness to continue. Regardless,
this podcast will outlast us, sadly.
Probably not. I mean, like
literally the second we're both cutting. Turning up daisies and just delete that from the record.
Yeah.
AI has come in and got no value whatsoever.
Her legacy persists and she continues to be seen as a figure of strength and protection. So the spread of... So this bit's all kind of going on about how it's culturally still there. Then we're going to go into a bit more of the story, and then we're actually going to go into some ghosty stories of people seeing it.
Good. That's more our level.
Yeah. So the legend of Mala Hora has persisted and spread across much of Mexico, becoming an integral part of the culture. From Mexico City to small villages and the depths of the jungles, it is said that Mala Hora can be seen at night, patrolling the outskirts of town, protecting them from evil spirits. You see that, right? So what's interesting here as well is it seems to be very positive in Mexico, but it seems to be like quite a malevolent force in the US. So,
well, there you go. So they're looking at it, didn't we?
Yeah. In many regions, Mala Hora is revered as a kind of local deity. Locals make offerings to her and build temples in her honor in various places. In some areas, small festivals are held to celebrate her and to show a reverence. Interesting, there are many Mexican immigrants who have brought the legend of Mala Hora with them to the United States of America, where it slowly but surely spread throughout the years. In many Spanish-speaking areas, parents use the story of Mala Hora to scare children into behaving, much like the bogeyman.
Yeah, that seems to be a good use for urban myths all around the world.
Yeah.
Try and get kids to shut up.
Shut up or a monster will eat your face.
Exactly.
You're driving me out the wall.
Well, we've probably mentioned the podcast several times, but the straw-head Peter, I think they're German folklore. Which is you like sucking on your thumbs? Well, he's going to come out and chop them off for you.
Yep.
How about that?
There we go. Zero-sum game, mate.
Yeah.
This is a testament to the enduring legacy of Mala Hora and her powerful presence in the culture of Mexico. Though centuries have gone by since her original story first began circulating, Mala Hora remains an integral part of the culture today. So this bit's titled The Modern La Mala Hora Movement. Sounds like a political arm of the...
Maybe it is.
Maybe it is. In recent years, a new movement has emerged in Mexico to increase public awareness of Mala Hora and her legacy.
Well, you need to, don't you? You've got to keep these things alive, apparently.
The movement has been driven primarily by university students who are actively trying to preserve the legacy of Mala Hora and protect it from potential historical erasure. At the same time, This new movement is working to create an arguably happier narrative in which Mala Hora is venerated rather than feared. Not veneered rather than feared.
Not a nice little thin wood layer over the top of the ghost story.
No, that's what we always say, don't we, when we're going around the bric-a-brac shops trying to get some furniture to upcycle and sell to idiots.
Yeah.
You know, this furniture is to be veneered and not to be feared. So BBC, if you're looking for some people to be on your daytime TV show, then
dubious little Lovejoys.
Yeah, you know what?
Very, very available and very, very cheap.
You know what? This at the moment looks like a horrible mess. It's been painted over 17 times. You wouldn't want it in your house, but it's got good bones, and that means it's to be veneered and not to be feared. Let's see if we can. Let's see how much we can get this for.
Let's see if we can make 5 pence profit in its auction.
This is a major change from the past, in which La Mala Hora was largely feared and seen as an ominous figure. In addition to raising public awareness, this new movement is working towards a reimagined visions of Mala Hora focused on female empowerment and respect for female strength.
I mean, that's good, but I would suggest there are probably more urgent things that you could be campaigning on behalf of than fictional creatures, but fair enough.
Yeah, students, isn't it?
Yeah, wankers.
Ugh. This is a far cry from the traditional version of Mala Hora, who was depicted as a villainous figure. By advocating for a positive, empowering vision of Mala Hora, this modern movement is helping to bring her story out of the shadows and into the public light. Whether or not this movement will succeed remains to be seen, but it's a welcome new development for the La Mala Hora legacy. So that's all I'm going to read from that article. So we're going to go more into the actual...
Yeah, let's have more ghosties.
All right, mate. So this is from puzzleboxhorror.com, and it's by Joe Clements in April 2021. It has no comments. Hey, readers, listeners, if you if you fancy going on there and leaving some comments, I'm sure that Joe Clements would appreciate it. I mean, I won't be doing it myself. You probably have to subscribe, but I feel like I'm doing my bit by
putting it out. Yeah,
just by putting it out there.
So a little thank you for using his article in our podcast.
Oh, there's a little ad here. Join Slasher. It's like Facebook for horror fans. Download for free at Google Play.
Blimey, there's two awful things.
Well, there you go, Neil. You don't like sort of standard social media.
Yeah.
Why don't you join Slasher?
I mean, why would I want an even more limited
because you can
version of something
you can start promoting our podcast there. I'm sure that serious horror fans would be into it.
Yeah. Be all over it.
So, Mexico has enough folklore and urban legends to make H.P. Lovecraft cancel his flight.
Oh, I mean, he'd be cancelling his flight with Ferrari.
The Mexicans were a start.
The things he would find horrifying would, anyway, let's not get into his massive racism.
No, none are as menacing and confrontational as the dreaded La Mala Hora. La Mala Hora relates to the Devil's Hour, also known as the Witching Hour, a time many known as 3 a.m., at a time which one may suddenly wake up for no perceptible reason with an acute sense of dread wallowing in their stomach. I mean, normally that just bladder, isn't it, really?
Just an existential crisis.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking hell. Day's dawning again.
One of these to
face. No. I don't think I can take it.
Oh, God, what's going to happen this time? This uncanny hour has been associated with the practice of witchcraft, imbued with great satanic significance, and even held accountable for the true story of the Amityville horror, which we've looked at.
Yeah, it's just like an arsehole who shot his family.
Yeah. Though residents of Mexico know it as something more tangible and far more horrifying.
Ooh.
In 1910, the phenomenon was described by Aurelio Espinosa as a malicious entity that stalked crossroads around Mexico at night. It's always the crossroads.
Oh, yes.
It would hunt, torment, and even kill anyone brave enough to ignore the tales and travel home alone at such an hour. If these individuals were unfortunate enough to come across the dreaded Mala Hora and gaze headlong into it, they would be driven hideously and irreversibly insane. Sounds like Mexico has been reading a little of Lovecraft's work after all. And because of this, his peculiar spirit is said to be
There's a lot of tentacles going on. He liked tentacles, didn't he?
Only one of them.
All right, fair enough.
Sounded Cthulhu, wasn't it? A tentacle squid head.
I thought they all... I don't know, I'm not that familiar with Lovecraft.
No, just the famous one. Just the breakout star.
Yeah.
Cthulhu.
Oh, Cthulhu's the only one you need, isn't he?
Yeah. He was like Method Man in the Wu-Tang Clan. He was the breakout.
Taylor Swift of the pantheon of old gods.
So, because of all this, it's said to be more feared than the devil himself. Most of Mexico flat out refuses to talk about it, changing the subject or simply referring to it as an evil thing.
So obviously it's not, this is quite a different take on it.
This is what I'm saying. All those kind of...
not seeing the whole Robin Hood...
All those flower power students trying to make it about girl power and stuff, Actually, a lot of Mexico doesn't feel the same.
Yeah, think on.
Talk shit, get smacked.
Yeah.
La Mala Hora takes great pleasure in driving its victims mad. Not only this, but it will often attack helpless travelers, paralyzing them in their tracks and brutalizing their weakened forms. After being suffocated by the fiend, their bodies are left at the side of the road. In Chiapas, the southernmost state of Mexico, the insidious entity is told to take the form of a beautiful woman. Sometimes dressed in white, sometimes dressed in black.
That's to lure the unwary traveller, one assumes.
Oh, yeah. This incarnation and its diversely gruesome behaviour comes across like some demented video game enemy gone rogue. It's odd.
Okay, it's an interesting metaphor.
When dressed in white, La Mala Hora is said to be gentler and more graceful. She hypnotizes wary travelers who, if they don't notice the space between her feet and the ground, or the fact that her toes are backwards, or the fact that her lanterns have stopped working, all sense of direction seems lost, will follow her obediently into whichever peril she chooses. Lots of stuff not to notice.
Because the lanterns are off in it, so it's hard to see.
Backwards toes.
Yeah.
Well,
that's fine.
Sorry.
I wouldn't
So
judge.
does that mean like backwards feet, or does it mean like...
I don't know whether her feet are on backwards.
Or the toes are backwards, so the nails are like halfway up the foot.
Looking at the floor or something. I don't know.
Don't know now. But I think it's something I'd know.
It sounds noticeable, whatever it is.
Perhaps this will be off the edge of a ravine, or perhaps in front of the next passing car. When dressed in black, La Mala Hora is more aggressive.
Oh, okay.
She will stop a traveller by any means and attack directly with her pointed nails. The strong-willed should hope to meet her on a white night, while no one should hope to see her in black.
Oh, no. More than you can cope with, lad.
Don't care how strong your will are.
Yeah.
One particular story has been circling the internet for quite some time, earning La Mala Hora its creepypasta certification along the way. In this story, a woman goes to stay with her friend who is experiencing marital troubles, having a bit of problems topside.
Oh, dear.
On the way, she almost hits a woman in the road. When the car stops, begins scratching fiercely at the windows. Okay. Not very well put together sentence. So on the way, she almost hits a woman in the road who, when the car stops, begins scratching fiercely at the windows in an attempt to get in. After driving away as quickly as possible, our protagonist reaches her friend, who tells her frantically that she has seen the Mala Hora, the spirit who only appears when death is close. The woman then calls her husband, who she finds has been mugged and shot to death in another area.
Margie could be just as well. So
What's
that wasn't
that?
working out. Maybe a nice fresh start.
Oh, yeah, they're having marital problems. I mean, that sounds like they've hired someone on the dark web, and then
the Mala Hora. Yeah,
they're trying to use the old Mala Hora defense, which is so big in Mexico.
Every time.
Every time. New Mexico legend. On the southern border of the United States, in the state of New Mexico, the Mala Hora seems to appear much closer to Espinosa's original description, usually seen as a black abstract form, like a fleece of wool, which expands and contracts, like a pulsing black thing, changing size and shape and seemingly floating along the roadsides. A widely feared omen, this incarnation is only told to be seen when death is soon to befall a loved one. I would imagine a lot of concerned yet apologetic phone calls taking place around 3 a.m. in Mexico. One thing's for sure, if I lived near any of the places that the Mala Hora is said to appear, I would doubtfully ever go out after midnight, even if I had run out of snouts and cakes.
Yeah, just have to wait till in the morning.
Added the last bit.
I assumed you did.
So I'm going to read another description here, and then we're going to go.
Working at a petrol station at 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, you've seen a few horrors, haven't you?
Yeah.
Did you ever work in a petrol station, or you've just haunted them?
No. I've been on both sides of that counter. Let's put it like that. In the early hours. Worst one actually was some guy. He was like, I think he was a taxi driver, so you think he would have been a bit more chill. It was like we're going like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and but we had to close down. So like at some point you've got to refuel. Yeah. And you can't have people on the lot when you're refueling. It's like safety reasons.
Yeah.
So it all seems fairly obvious to me. Because we were a 24-hour petrol station, he's like, I could do you under the Trade Description Act. I'm like, well, good luck with that court case, mate. If you decide to pursue to litigation, do let my legal team know. I work at a fucking 24-hour petrol station on minimum wage. Let's get the lawyers involved.
Was that attached to the big Sainsbury's?
Yeah, it was a petrol station by West End Sainsbury's. Yeah, but so it wasn't one of the sort of middle of the town ones, but it was still getting up there. But yeah, it's just some, it's like 3 o'clock in the morning or something, and then it's sort of say they're just doing a refueling, and it's like, oh yeah, sorry, it'll be closed for about 15 minutes, but you can welcome to hang around, or you can get you a whatever, but I just can't open the pumps up. And he was having none of it, having a right old moan. Anyway,
tell you what, I've got some negative Port Slade news.
Oh no!
Yeah,
so thought it.
So my mum has international students sometimes play with her. So they, like a big group of them, were in Victoria Park in Port Slade.
Okay, yeah, Vicky Park, yeah.
Vicky Park. And they were just going home because the sun was going down, and some hoodies.
Some awful people decided,
jumped them and put 2 of the kids in hospital.
Oh, God. Sorry to hear that.
Yeah. As Port Slade's most famous personnel, have you got anything you'd like to say? To calm the situation?
Sorry to hear that. Don't be doing it, hoodies.
Probably don't.
Think of the good name of Port Slade. Well, say that, laughingly. Yeah, unfortunately, it's a bit rough. It sounds like it hasn't got much better over the years.
Yeah, you see, my kind of reaction was, why aren't the language schools telling people, like, it's probably best not to hang around Port Slade?
Well, look, but I think there's quite a few people who sort of, because it's cheap to rent there and stuff. I imagine that, you see quite a few. Let's face it, can happen in, Brighton or Hove as well, can't it?
Just go down the beach.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a shame.
You wouldn't think, would you? It's just, you find some big open park or whatever. It's
yeah. Well, it's not exactly.
Down the level or down the Stein, I reckon.
I think like Port Slade kind of as the evening draws in, you do have to be slightly streetwise around
Slightly
there.
wary, yeah.
Yeah, or just be a really massive bloke like us, and then just you've got the
Boundary Road doesn't feel that edgy these days, but
not
you
as
few
bad as it used
drunks.
to.
No, don't know really.
Yeah, but
They
anyway,
don't
that was a
hang out
shame.
at Port
So
Said these days. Yeah, no,
I'd like,
that's
and I'm not from
awful.
Port Said, but I'd like to apologise to the people of Bilbao.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, that should never happen anywhere to anyone. But yeah, no, that's awful.
They've grown up under the Conservatives.
Yes.
What you
all this culture war shite. Yeah.
So, anymystery.com, The Legend of the Mala Hora by staff writer or October 2022. That was one of those. He's got one of those names. What is it like? Where your name's like John Banker, and you end up working in a bank.
Oh, nominative determinism. I don't know. I don't know how else you'd express it, but yeah,
that's what this guy's staff writer has. In Chiapas of Mexico, they tell of La Mala Hora. Usually appears as a lovely long-haired woman, clothed in white or black, walking along the side of the road at night. Typically hides in the shadows near a crossroads, waiting for an unsuspecting visitor to cross the path. Some believe it is more fear than the devil. It appears as a huge black lump that is continually moving and changing shape, can also swiftly change size, getting larger and smaller.
Well, I'll say this much: the devil's getting cucked out quite a bit here. He needs to start upping this game in Mexico. I think. Remind him who's the big boy.
So, according to legends,
I think it takes some to be scary in Mexico as well. Not to disrespect our lovely.
I mean, a small percentage of the humans are quite scary in Mexico, aren't they?
I'm not having. No, I just mean the sort of some of the crime and things that happens. I think you'd be quite hard. Quite hardy. You wouldn't be afraid of. I think you'd be quite streetwise in a lot of places in Mexico. Yeah.
The Mala Hora is an evil spirit, entity, or demon. It is said to be as dreaded as the devil throughout New Mexico and Mexico. It appears, you're just saying the same thing. At best, it's a negative omen. The female spirit cloaked in black is regarded as a harbinger of death, and at worst, it is a vindictive demon. According to most versions of this urban legends, individuals will see it, are either driven insane, suffocated by its mist. It is clear, however, how this is known is unclear. It only assaults solitary travellers who discover the dead the following day. Those who have avoided meetings with the entity allege that it's numbed or entranced them, into complacency.
Because they numbered them, it's like, sorry, 26. You're not going to get around to you tonight. You're going to have to stay alive. Oh.
No, that was my brain. My brain was doing a little bit of scrambles.
Yeah, fair enough.
Numb them or entrance them into complacency. Bourgeois.
It's the power I wish I had.
What, complacency?
No, just numbing people into complacency.
You kind of do. Any person who is unfortunate enough to encounter the demon risks going insane. It seeks to hypnotize and immobilize everyone who comes across it at night. When it attacks, it rushes towards the unknowing victim, developing and suffocating him. It should be enveloping, but it says developing. Come on, staff writer. The following day, the victim discovered dead by the side of the road. La Mala Hora is thought to be kinder and more graceful when dressed in white, to hypnotise tired travellers who, if they overlook the fact her toes reverse, blah, blah, blah. So, blah, 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 blah.
So if you meet her in black, then what are you going to do? Just sort of like, oh, you'd look good in white, though.
Yeah.
Take your glasses off, put your hair down, put a white dress on, lovely smile. Get on, come on.
He'd be prom queen.
Scratching your face off.
So their conclusion is there's no physical evidence of the encounter, as is typical of an urban legend. And
I don't think this is true,
So I'm going to go from a final bit from American Folklore.
Thanks.
.net. And this is from this.
Repeat a lot of the information we've already heard.
No, this is probably, but then no, this is
We're coming in from a different angle. Folkloric, perhaps.
No, this is just like a more full version of the this is the full version of the story about the marital difficulties and stuff. So, do you want me to go through it or not?
Go for it.
Okay. A New Mexico ghost story retold by S.E. Schlossler.
Nice.
My friend Isabel called me one evening before dinner. She was sobbing as she told me that her husband, Enrique, were getting divorced. He had moved out of the house earlier that day, and Isabel was distraught.
I like how you decided to sound like Max Payne from the video game series. Mexican article.
Thought it was the right
Still
voice.
got the right choice. Hey, you come with an artistic hunch there, Chris. I'm not going to question it. I just.
Well, the third
shining a
Max
light on
Payne
it.
was set in Sao Paulo. That's
There you
near
go.
Mexico.
There you go. Very near.
It was a very good game, actually.
I didn't play the third one, actually. I did play the first two.
Third one was the best.
Very enjoyable. There you go. Is that where he's a bit washed up and drunk?
Yeah. Obviously going to be the best.
Yes.
Yay! On his uppers. Brilliant. Drinking problem.
I'll get into that. Yeah.
I called my husband, who was on a business trip in Chicago, and he agreed. I'm doing it even more Max Payne. And he agreed that I should go stay with Isabella for a few days to help during this difficult time. I packed a small suitcase and got right into the car. It was late, and it would take me at least 4 hours to drive from my home to Santa Fe. Isabella was expected to be arriving around midnight. God damn it. As I traveled down the dark, wet highway, I kept feeling chills, as if someone or something was watching me. I kept looking in the rearview mirror. I kept looking at my rearview mirror.
Usual beer you were drinking. Using that to look behind you.
Looking at the rearview
mirror.
Apparently, he'd nearly finished making my flour. I glanced in the back seat. No one was there. Don't be ridiculous, I told myself, wishing fervently that I was at home in bed instead of driving on a dark, rainy highway. There was almost no traffic, and I hardly wished that I would soon reach Santa Fe.
But that rain was coming down like icy shards from hell.
Yeah. I turned off the highway just before I reached the city and started down a side road to Isabella's house. As I approached a small crossroad, I saw a woman step into the street directly in front of my car. I shrieked in fright and slammed on my brakes, praying I would miss her. The car shuddered to a halt, and I looked frankly around for the woman. Then I saw her right beside my window, looking at me. She had the face of a demon, twisted, eyes glowing red, and short, pointed teeth. I screamed and leapt at my window. Her hands clawed, striking the glass. I put my foot down on the accelerator, and the car leapt forward. For a few terrible moments, she ran alongside the car, keeping up easily and striking me again and again, like the Terminator 2. Then she fell behind, and in the rearview mirror, I saw her growing taller and taller until she was as large as a tree. Red light swirled around her like mist, and she pointed after me, her mouth moving, though I couldn't make out the words. I jerked my attention back to the road, afraid of what might happen to me if my car ran off the street. I made it to Isabella's house in record time and flung myself out of the car, pounding on the door frantically and looking behind me to see if the demon-faced woman had followed me.
Oh no, Isabella's been moided.
Isabella came running to the door and let me in. Shut the door, shut it, I cried frantically, brushing past her into the safety of the house. Jane, what's wrong? She asked, slamming the door shut. She grabbed my hand and led me into the living room. I sank onto the couch and started sobbing in fear and reaction. After several minutes, I managed to gasp out my story. Isabella gasped and said, "Are you sure it was at the crossroads and you saw her?"
Where else would it be?
I nodded, puzzled by the question. "It must have been the Mala Hora," Isabella said, wringing her hands. "The bad hour?" I asked. "This is bad, Jane, very bad," Isabella cried. "The Mala Hora only appears at the crossroads when someone's going to die." Ordinarily, I would have laughed at such superstition, but the appearance of the demon woman had shaken me.
Isabella got me a cup of hot cocoa, brought my luggage in from the car, and sent me to bed. She was so concerned that she didn't once mention the divorce or Enrique. I felt much better the next morning, but I couldn't shake the feeling of dread that grew within me all day. None of us mentioned Mala Hora, but we were both thinking of her when I told Isabella that I wanted to go home. Isabella insisted on accompanying me. I flatly refused to drive after dark. I was afraid that I would see the demon woman again when I passed the crossroads. When we left the next morning, and we hadn't been home for more than 20 minutes when a police car suddenly pulled up in the driveway, and I knew what it meant, and so did Isabella. The officer spoke very gently to me, but nothing could soften the news. My husband had been mugged on the way back to his hotel after dinner last night. His body had not been found until this morning. He had been shot in the head, and he was killed instantly. Dun dun dun.
Certainly put a new twist on that story.
Yeah.
By having it narrated by
Max Payne and someone from
Max
the
Payne,
Midlands.
somebody from Birmingham.
Yeah. Well,
from Peaky Blinders, presumably.
Yeah, that is all the Midlands is. So yeah, that's basically your story now. That's
Well,
La Mala Hora.
I'm struggling to see how
Any of it connects.
gang. Yeah, they're all sort of a little bit, and also how you sort of the Robin Hoodie kind of tale. But there you go. Obviously, we're possibly seeing some biased versions.
Yeah, it's
the latter stories.
I'm not seeing
not seeing a lot of
the protection
wriggle room.
of poor people and stuff.
There you go. Maybe everyone should kill with knob ends.
Pardon?
Maybe everyone should kill with knob ends. I don't know. Like
Everyone should
landlords and stuff. Maybe everyone that she killed was.
All right. Oh, okay. All right. Maybe.
Who knows? Who knows?
But yeah, like I'm not. From what I've read, it all seems to be get in travellers and like doing different things. I think it's a bit of a. I mean, maybe it's a project they're doing in the university, but it's a difficult one to turn this person into a force for good.
Yeah, there's not a lot of light and shade,
empowerment.
Mostly shade.
Yeah, it's
other than if she's got a white dress, she'll kill you a bit more
nicely.
Slowly. Yeah, be a bit nicer about killing you.
Yeah, it's just walk you off a cliff rather than scratch your eyes out.
Don't you worry about it. Off the cliff with you.
Go on. Get the sensation of flying. That's not what it is. It's dropping. Okay, so shall we go through our scoring system now?
Why not?
Why not? Hey, that's what we're here for.
What we do every week. Let's not stop doing it.
No, it's the only thing which we haven't stopped doing that we've been doing every week.
It's consistent.
So Neil, spookiness, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite spooky. We're travelling out in the middle of nowhere, or out in the middle of the night, 3:00 in the morning, or waking up and having the night terrors. I like the fact that they've taken kind of like a physical thing and then like manifested it with a spooky ghost. I like the fact that she's got sort of two faces. So, she's bad cop and worse cop.
Haven't we all?
Yeah, indeed.
Duality of humanity.
Even to the extent where some people think you can sort of like write it up as a nice spirit. I mean, haven't really seen how they're doing that, but we don't.
I'm getting. Do you know what? I'm getting a little sick of these La Mala Hora apologists.
Oh.
Do you know what I mean?
I was trying to avoid that, but yeah,
they're getting everywhere,
rich, isn't it? I think it's quite a good spooky one. I mean, these usual things, kind of like generic sort of black hair, kind of red eyes, long fingernails, and all the rest of it. But hey,
changes into a ball.
Cliches become cliches for a reason. Yeah, the undulating kind of black thing was a bit weird.
Pulsating ball thing.
Like that. Yeah, hey, why not? That sounds a bit like a sort of a Doctor Who.
Well, it kind of makes it feel like it kind of appears like kind of in a non-corporeal form. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Pretty spooky. I'm going to give it a 7.
7. So I like the fact that they've taken something which is a global thing, the witching hour or whatever, and they've attached a character to it. That's good. I mean, it's a witchy woman at the end of the day. Nothing particularly new there, but it's interesting that she's got two sides of the coin, although both sides are bad. Just one's I don't know. Either way, you're dead. Which one's less bad?
Well, exactly.
I mean, it does sound like in some parts of Mexico she's revered and stuff, though. So it's kind of, it's one of these, like, so you do wonder, or I do wonder, whether, so like, say, like,
press.
well, say like people in kind of like less populated areas or whatever, who aren't necessarily on the internet all the time and that kind of stuff, they've kind of got this this spirit, and they kind of are like, you know, they have a more nuanced view of it. But then someone's heard of it and they've gone, oh, that's quite a good bad guy, and then they've done internet stuff with it. So I do wonder about that. But, you know, without further research, which I won't be doing, then I guess I'll never know. So I'm going to give it a 6 still speaking.
Let's not talk ourselves into any extra work, Chris.
No.
That'd be the really spooky thing.
Believability. Believability. So I think like it seems to be pretty like there seems to be beliefs around her. I think that it's kind of there's because it's a more spooky society, Mexico, isn't it? They believe in spirits and stuff more than we do, because of the like sort of mixing of religions and sort of old beliefs, new beliefs, and it's all kind of happened in the grander scheme of things over a very short period of time. So yeah, I think it's believed there. Do I believe? I believe in the witching hour, the time that people wake up. But as I said, that's kind of got a reason behind it. Do I believe in the physical incarnation of the witching hour, that you might see a witch at crossroads? Probably not. So that'd take a few points off. But I'm going to give it 7 now.
Fair dues. Yeah, fairly similarly. So I think there's a degree of believability if you're in certain areas or what have you. I'm probably a little less. I mean, certainly, do I believe it? No, but and I don't know like how many people in Mexico will be properly believing in this, but yeah, I'll give it a 6.
6. Okay, narrative premise, Neil.
Yeah, I think that there's quite having a hook like the fact that it's around the witching hour. I think there's lots you could do with that. Things at 3 o'clock in the morning, inherently that's kind of a bit spooky, and so yeah, there's sort of some interesting stuff you could explore here. What's the motivation? Why the white dress, the black dress, the different attitudes? There's obviously the whole Robin Hood aspect that we haven't really explored. Interesting to dig into that. So yeah, I think it's got a bit more than the surface, just kind of like witch creature. So yeah, I'm going to give it a 7 for potential.
Yeah, I agree with what you said, and also the fact that it can have a portents of death for a loved one stuff as well.
Yeah,
that's quite good. Yeah, I don't really have a lot to add to what you said. Yeah, it's more interesting than most witchy things, so I'm going to give it a 6. And reach. So sounds like Southern United States and Mexico. That's where we're at.
Interesting that crossover. I mean, it's what you would expect to have that crossover. But yeah.
So I've not heard of it before today. So I mean, there's a lot about it on the internet, and one of the things which we read was from an Indian news article. But I don't think it's massive. And I think, well, I mean, it's big in Mexico, and that's a big country, biggish country. But it's not an international one, or really a regional one. Do you know what I mean? Or I mean, it is regional, but you know, regions different sizes. It's not like all of. So I'm going to give it a 5 for each now.
Yeah, probably fairly similar. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't know how far it goes. Obviously, it's in New Mexico, but it doesn't sound like it's sort of graduated to Spanish-speaking countries, etc., like other sort of things like that. But so yeah, I hadn't heard of it. But again, that's no surprise. But so I'll probably give it a 4 on this one. I think this is probably the one where it's probably not as
down a bit.
Yeah.
Well, that gives us overall 48, so not too bad. And right now, if you want to contact us, you can at herb.legends.podcast@gmail.com or Legend Urbane on Twitter. Those are our two primary.
Some death threats, maybe. That'd be all right.
Yeah, give some death threats. That'd be good. Make us feel important. Any attention's good attention. And Neil, what are you going to do with the rest of your afternoon? I'm going to go and buy some crisps.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I need to go out and get something to eat.
Yeah.
So I'm have to think whether I go to Tesco's or do I take a longer route down to the co-op. It's probably going to be Tesco's, yeah.
Which one are you going to go to? The one in the petrol station or the one near the tennis club?
I'm going to head towards the petrol station because that might take me a bit further, but we'll see.
Lovely. Well, there you go. That's our plans. As you can see, the fun never
Sunday evening.
The fun never stops at the lands of Urbane Legends, and I wish you all a good week, and I hope you're well and happy and fulfilled with whatever fills your gaps. And I will see you next Thursday. Goodbye.
Goodbye.